The wind came first, dry and thin. It slid over the gallows like a whisper that knew my name. I opened my eyes, slow, careful, as if the sky might fall if I moved too fast. The sun burned red on the horizon. I smelled dust, blood, and rope. I had dreamed of that smell for years. I pulled my coat tighter. The desert stretched ahead, endless and cruel. Behind me, the gallows stood like bones. I had come back. I never thought I would. "You sure about this?" The man beside me asked. His name was Jonas Pike. Preacher once, killer before that. "I'm sure," I said. My voice felt small against the wind. He spat into the dirt. "People in Hollow Bend ain't got mercy. You go back, they'll hang you proper this time." "They tried once," I said. "Didn't work." He looked at me long. "Rope broke, that all?" "Maybe," I said. "Maybe God blinked." He chuckled low. "Then God best keep blinking, Mara." That name, Mara Hale, still tasted strange on my tongue. It wasn't my real one. My real name had been Evelyn Cross. But she died on that rope. I buried her in the dust and wore another face. We rode in silence for miles. The sky burned gold, the land flat and empty. My horse's hooves made small, hollow sounds. Every sound in the desert feels lonely. Jonas finally spoke again. "What do you aim to find there?" "Truth," I said. He shook his head. "Truth's a cold meal, girl. Don't fill the belly." "I'm not hungry," I said. He smiled, a sad kind of smile. "Liar." We reached the ridge where Hollow Bend spread below. Small, crooked, mean-looking. Smoke curled from chimneys, the sound of hammer and horse carried on the wind. I stared down at it and felt my heart slow. "That's it?" Jonas asked. "That's it," I said. "Home." He laughed dry. "Home? Thought you said home burned down." "It did," I said. "I still smell the ashes." We camped near a dry creek that night. Jonas lit a small fire. I sat across from him, watching the flames twist. The sound of burning wood was too close to the sound of rope creaking. I hated that. He noticed me flinch. "Still dream about it?" "Every night," I said. "What was it like? The hanging?" He nodded. I looked at the fire, not him. I remember the noise first, the crowd yelling. I remember my hands tied, the smell of sweat and fear. I remember his face. His? "Isaac Crane," I said. The name came out like glass in my throat. "Marshall, then. He said I killed my husband, said he had proof. The town believed him." "And you didn't?" Jonas asked. I shook my head. "No. My husband was already dead when I found him, shot in the back near our barn. Isaac said it was me. He swore it." "Why would he do that?" I met his eyes. "Because the land we owned was worth killing for." Jonas stared into the flames. "That the truth or the story you tell yourself?" "It's both," I said. He didn't push more. He just nodded slow, like a man counting sins. When he slept, I stayed awake, listening to the wind. Sometimes I could hear the rope again. I could feel it tighten around my neck, hear the wood groan. I remembered falling. I remembered the snap, not of my neck, but of the rope. I remembered the crowd gasping, and I remembered crawling through dust, half dead, half alive, into the desert. The hangman's shadow long behind me. People said the rope broke by accident. Others said the devil saved me. I think both were true. By morning, the sky turned pale. I packed my things, checked my gun, and saddled my horse. Jonas stirred. "You're leaving me behind, ain't you?" he said, still half asleep. "I ride faster alone." He grunted. "You'll get killed faster, too." I smiled small. "Maybe that's fine." He sat up. "You go in there with hate in your hand, you won't find peace, Mara." "I ain't looking for peace," I said. "I'm looking for memory." He sighed. "Then at least remember this. Revenge don't heal. It just changes the wound." I mounted my horse. "So does time," I said. He said nothing more. The road to Hollow Bend felt longer than years. The closer I got, the louder the past became. I saw faces in the dust. The judge, the crowd, the hangman. I saw Isaac's eyes when he said I was guilty. He had once told me he'd love me till the end of time. Guest time ended early. When I reached the edge of town, a group of men stopped me. "You lost, ma'am," one said. He looked about 20, face red from sun. "No," I said. "Just new here." He grinned. "Name's Luke Harper, deputy. Sheriff likes to know who's coming in. What brings you?" "Work," I said. "And a room." He nodded. "You can try the Silver Saloon. Mrs. Cora runs it. She don't ask much if you pay on time." "I'll manage." He tipped his hat. "Welcome to Hollow Bend, ma'am. Watch your step." "I will," I said. As I rode past, I saw the new jailhouse. On the front wall, a fresh sign, Marshal Isaac Crane. The world tilted for a second. My hands went cold on the reins. He was still here, still walking free. I whispered under my breath, "I'm back, Isaac." The wind carried my words like a curse. The Silver Saloon smelled of smoke, whiskey, and old sorrow. The piano man hit notes that sounded tired. A few cowhands laughed too loud. I walked in quiet, head down. A woman with red hair looked me over. "Room or drink?" "Room," I said. She nodded. $2 a night. No trouble, no noise, no men after midnight." "No men," I said. "No noise either." She handed me a key. "Name?" "Mara Hale." She squinted. "You look familiar." "Don't we all?" I said. She laughed. "Maybe." I took the key and went upstairs. The hallway smelled of old perfume and regret. I locked my door, sat on the bed, and pulled off my boots. My feet hurt. My heart hurt worse. Outside, someone laughed. The sound made me want to cry. I opened the small window. The gallows stood far off, black against the sky. My throat burned. I touched the scar at my neck. Thin, white, almost gone. I whispered, "Still here?" I didn't know if I meant me or the rope. That night, I dreamed again. The crowd, the sun, the heat on my face. Isaac's voice shouting, "She killed him!" I woke up gasping. My hand reached for the gun by my bed. My fingers shook. Then a soft knock at the door. "Who is it?" I called. "It's Luke, ma'am," a voice said. "Sorry to bother. Sheriff sent me. Just making rounds." I opened the door a crack. "At this hour?" He smiled shy. "Town gets jumpy after dark. Folks say ghosts walk." "Maybe they do," I said. He tipped his hat. "Sleep easy, ma'am." I closed the door. I leaned against it till my breath came back. Ghosts do walk, I thought. One of them was me. Before dawn, I left the saloon. I went down to the edge of town where the gallows waited. The wood was gray now, half rotted, but the rope still hung there. I walked up, slow. The wind moved the noose like it remembered. I reached out and touched it. The fibers were rough under my fingers. "I'm back," I whispered. The rope creaked. Somewhere far behind me, a rooster crowed. The town woke. I stood there a long time, long enough for the sun to rise and light my face, long enough to remember every scream, every lie, every promise that broke. The past wasn't gone. It had just been waiting, and so had I. The sun burned red when I saw Hollow Bend again. The wind carried dust and memory. My horse walked slow, hooves sinking in the dirt road that led straight into the town that once watched me die. I pulled the black veil over my face. The cloth smelled of sweat and smoke. I had worn it for days. It hid me from the world, or maybe it hid the world from me. The sign that said "Welcome to Hollow Bend" hung crooked. Someone had shot holes through the word "welcome." I almost smiled. A boy at the edge of the street pointed. "Ma'am, you lost?" I shook my head. "No, just passing through." He squinted. Not many pass through anymore. Not since the fire. I looked at the hill. The church was gone. Only a black stump of the bell tower stood against the sky. "Bad fire?" I asked. He nodded. "Real bad. Folks said God left after that. Sheriff says it was lightning, but Mama says it was sin." "Maybe both," I said. He grinned and ran off, calling to someone unseen. I kept walking. The main street looked older, tired. The same wood, but weaker. New paint over old lies. The saloon still stood, though the sign now read, "Crane's Rest." My chest tightened when I saw that name. I pushed the door open. The air inside was warm and smelled of whiskey, sweat, and regret. Music played, a slow piano tune, soft and broken. The bartender looked up. "Afternoon, ma'am. You new here?" "I'm looking for work," I said. "What kind of work?" "Cleaning, cooking, maybe tending rooms." He nodded toward the stairs. "Talk to Miss Clara. She runs the rooms now." Clara. My throat closed for a moment. I walked slowly up the stairs. My boots creaked on each step. The hall was narrow, lined with doors that had seen too much life. At the end stood Clara Boone. She turned when she heard me. Her hair was lighter now, streaked with gray, but her eyes were the same, soft blue, kind, tired. "Can I help you?" she asked. I lowered my voice. "I was told you need help with rooms." "Yes, you a widow?" "Yes," I said. "Name's Mara Hale." She nodded, polite but distant. "How long you plan to stay?" "Depends on the work," I said. Her gaze lingered on my veil. "You can keep to yourself if you want. Folks around here don't ask much." "Good," I said. "I prefer silence." She smiled a little. "You sound like someone I used to know." My stomach turned. "Did she stay here?" "No," Clara whispered. "She died." I said nothing. She led me to a small room. The bed was narrow, the window cracked. I touched the wall. It felt cold even under the sun. "You can start tomorrow," she said. "Sheets, cleaning, cooking at dawn." "I'll be ready." She nodded and left me there. When the door closed, I sat on the bed. The springs groaned under my weight. I pulled off the veil. My skin felt raw. I looked in the small mirror above the wash basin. A stranger stared back, sunburned face, thin lips, hollow eyes. The kind of face that didn't belong to Mercy. I whispered, "Welcome home." That night I heard laughter from the bar below. Boots on wood, coins hitting tables, music again, faster now. I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs and leaned by the door, hidden in the shadows. Men were drinking, telling stories. The sheriff was there, Abel Dorsey, fat, red-faced, louder than thunder. He shouted, "To Marshal Crane! The best damn lawman this town ever had!" They cheered, Isaac Crane. I felt the name like a knife under my ribs. A younger voice said, "Marshal Crane's a legend." Another replied, "He keeps us safe, don't he?" Hung that murderer years back. I gripped the doorframe until my hand hurt. Someone asked, "Who was she again?" The sheriff said, "Evelyn Cross, pretty one." Shame, that one. But a killer's a killer. Laughter. I walked outside before I could scream. The street was empty. The moon looked like a cut coin. I walked toward the river road where the wind smelled of dust and dead grass. "Ma'am," a voice called behind me. I turned. A young man in a deputy's coat stood by the saloon door. He had a clean face, no scars yet, no lies yet. "You shouldn't walk alone," he said. "Not safe at night." "I've known worse nights," I said. He smiled shyly. "Luke Harper, deputy." "Mara Hale," I said. "You new in town?" "Yes, looking for something." "Work," I said. He nodded. "You find it?" "I think so." He looked at the veil in my hand. "You from back east?" "Farther," I said. He laughed. "Farther than east?" "Farther than memory." He didn't understand, but he smiled anyway. "If you need anything, I'm around." I nodded. "Thank you." He tipped his hat. "Good night, ma'am." When he left, I stood by the river until dawn. The water moved slow, brown and silent. I threw a pebble in and watched it sink. In the morning, I worked. I washed sheets, cleaned tables, boiled coffee. Clara watched me sometimes, quiet. At noon, she said, "You work hard." Don't see that much anymore. "Work keeps the ghosts away," I said. She paused. "You believe in ghosts?" "Yes. I live among them." She frowned, but didn't ask more. Later, when I served drinks to the sheriff, he looked at me and grinned. "You're new," he said. "Yes, sir. Name?" "Mara." "Pretty name," he said. "You married?" "Widow." "Sorry to hear that." "No, you're not," I said. He laughed. "You got fire." "I like that." I smiled without smiling. "Fire burns." He shrugged and called for more whiskey. I turned away. When I walked back to the counter, I saw Luke again. He was writing something in a small book, head down. "Long day," I said. He looked up. "You get used to it. Small town? Big troubles?" "What kind of troubles?" "Men who think law means power," he said softly. I looked at him. "You don't seem like them." "I'm not," he said. "I came here to help." "Help who?" He hesitated. "People who can't fight back. Then you'll have a short life," I said. He smiled. "Maybe." but a clean one. His words stayed with me all day. At dusk, I went upstairs and found Clara sitting in the hallway holding a candle. "You all right?" I asked. She nodded. "Just thinking. This town used to be quiet. Now it feels cursed. Maybe it always was," I said. She looked up at me. "You ever lose someone, Mara?" "Yes." "Someone close?" "Yes," she sighed. "Then you know." The silence never leaves. We sat there for a while, the candle burning low. I wanted to tell her everything. The lies, the rope, the night she didn't come to see me die. But I stayed silent. When she left, I whispered to the dark, "You could have saved me." The walls didn't answer. That night I heard thunder far away. The wind pushed through the broken window and made the lamp flicker. I dreamed of the gallows again. The rope, the faces, the silence before the drop. I woke before dawn. My hands shook. I washed them in cold water, but they still trembled. At sunrise, Luke knocked on my door. "Ma'am," he said, "Marshal Crane's riding in today." "Big meeting at the jailhouse." My breath caught. "Marshal Crane?" "Yes, he's coming from Fort Bailey." "Folks are excited. You should come see." "No," I said quickly. "I don't like crowds." He nodded. "All right. Just thought you'd want to meet the man who keeps us safe." I smiled faintly. "Safe, that's a nice word." He left. I sat on the bed and stared at my hands. The skin around my wrists was pale where the rope had once burned me. I rubbed the marks, but they didn't fade. By noon, the street outside filled with people. I watched from the window. Flags, horses, voices. Then I saw him, Isaac Crane. He looked older, but still proud. His coat black, his badge bright in the sun. The crowd cheered. He smiled, that same smile that once made me believe in truth. My heart beat slow and hard. Clara knocked on my door. "Mara, come down." "You'll want to see him." "I've seen him," I said. She tilted her head. "From where?" "From a place he left behind." She frowned but didn't ask. When she walked away, I whispered, "You'll see him too." "Clara, you'll see him as I do." The crowd shouted his name again. I closed the curtain and sat down. For the first time in years, I felt the old fire move in my chest. Not warm, not kind, just sharp. The town cheered the man who killed me, but I was still here, and soon they would know it. The road back to my old home felt longer at night. The wind pushed dust against my face like small knives. I rode slow. The horse breathed hard. My hands shook on the reins. Every step sounded like memory coming to life. When I reached the gate, it leaned sideways. The paint was gone. The sign that once said Cross Ranch hung by one nail. I climbed down and touched the wood. It was cold, like bone. "I'm home," I whispered. The word hurt more than the wind. The yard was full of weeds. The well had fallen in. The door hung open. I could still smell smoke from the fire years ago. It was faint, but it lived there. Inside, the floor creaked under my boots. Moonlight came through holes in the roof. Dust floated like ghosts waiting to speak. I walked to the hearth. The stones were black, cracked. My hands searched the ash. My fingers found something hard. I pulled it out, a small silver locket. I opened it. Inside was a picture of Isaac. He looked young, proud, alive. My chest burned. I dropped it once, then picked it up again. "Why did you lie?" I whispered. "Why did you let them hang me?" The silence had no answer. I sat down on the cold floor. My eyes stung, but no tears came. I thought of that night, the rope, the crowd, the sound of my sister screaming. The rope had cut my skin, but his words had cut deeper. I closed my hand around the locket. "I still hear you," I said. "Every night I still hear you say my name." A voice came from behind me. "You shouldn't talk to ghosts, ma'am." "They might talk back." I turned fast. A man stood in the doorway, tall, thin, holding a lantern. His coat was torn at the sleeve. His eyes were calm but sharp. "Who are you?" I asked. "Name's Jonas Pike," he said. "Preacher most days. Sometimes just a man with bad sleep." I stayed quiet. He stepped closer. "Didn't mean to scare you. Saw light here. Thought maybe the house caught fire again?" "No fire," I said. "Only old dust." He looked around. "Used to belong to the Cross family, right?" "Heard stories. Woman here got hanged. Rope broke, they said." I stared at him. "Stories lie." He nodded slow. "They usually do." I picked up the lantern he carried and set it on the table. "What are you doing near this road at night?" "Camps by the church ruins," he said. "I walk when I can't pray." The dead keep better company than the living. His words hung in the air like smoke. You a believer? I asked. He smiled a little. I try. Some nights I believe, some nights I don't. I stopped believing long ago. In God? He asked. In people, I said. Jonas looked at the locket in my hand. That yours? It was, I said. Now it's just proof. Proof of what? That I was blind. He sat on a broken chair near the wall. Blind can be healed. Not this kind. He watched me for a while. You talk like someone waiting for a storm. I am, I said. He tilted his head. Storm brings mud. Mud shows tracks. Be careful what you chase. I walked to the window. The moonlight showed the fence line stretching into dark. There's something I left here. What's that? My name. He said nothing. I felt his eyes on me. You plan to stay? He asked after a while. Long enough, I said. Long enough to find the truth. Truth has teeth, he said. It bites both ways. I don't mind bleeding, he sighed. If you dig up ghosts, make sure they don't dig you first. I met his gaze. Let them try. The wind blew through the open door. The lantern flame shook. Jonas stood. I'll walk you back to town. This place ain't safe. I'm not afraid. Everyone says that right before fear finds them. I already met mine, I said. He wore a badge. He frowned. Marshal Crane? I didn't answer. He nodded anyway. Figures. He rides high these days. Folks say he's clean. Built new jailhouse, paid for half the road repairs. Paid with what? With money, he said. Not his money, I said. Blood money. Jonas raised a brow. You got reason to hate him? Hate is too small a word. He studied me. You talk like you knew him well. I did, I said. Before he hung me, Jonas blinked. I held up my hand. Don't say it. He stared at the locket again. They said she died. She almost did. He looked toward the hearth. Then what kept you alive? I thought for a moment. A promise. What promise? That I'd come back. Jonas took a deep breath. Revenge? Truth, I said. But they'll look the same when I find it. He walked to the door. If you need shelter, my camp's open. Fire's small but warm. I shook my head. I need to stay here tonight. He looked around. Among ashes and ghosts. It's still my home, I said. Even if it forgot me. Jonas nodded. Suit yourself. Just don't follow the wrong voice in the dark. He stepped out into the night. I watched his lantern fade down the road until it became another star. Silence came back thick and full. I sat by the hearth again. My hand brushed the dirt. I felt the edge of something buried deeper. I dug with my fingers until I touched wood. It was a small box. I opened it. Inside lay a letter, half burned. The ink was faded, but I could still read the start. Eve, forgive me. It was Isaac's handwriting. My breath caught. I read more. They said you killed him, but I know the truth. I can't fight my father. Not yet, but I will. I swear it. The rest was ash. I held the pieces tight. Liar, I said softly. You never fought him. You fought me! Outside, an owl cried. The night smelled of rain again. I placed the locket and the letter together in my pocket. Then I looked at the rope mark on my neck and the mirror shard still nailed to the wall. It was faint, pale like a scar made of silence. You missed, I told the memory. The boards groaned as wind passed through the gaps. I closed my eyes. The fire in my chest grew warm again. Tomorrow I'd go to the ruins near the church. Jonas might have answers he didn't know he had. Maybe I'd find another piece of the truth buried in this dust. For now, I let the night hold me. The ghosts whispered, but I whispered louder. I'm not the one who needs a grave, I said. You are. The wind answered with a soft sigh, and the house, my old home, seemed to breathe once more. The saloon was loud that night. Laughter, cards, and broken songs filled the air. I sat at the corner table, away from the oil lamps, where the light did not reach my face. The smell of smoke and sweat pressed against my skin. I liked the noise. It helped me hide inside it. I watched the door. I always watched doors. Every sound of boots on wood made my heart tense. Every time the wind pushed the frame open, I expected to see him. When he finally came in, the noise died a little. Marshal Isaac Crane still carried silence like a badge. He walked the same way he did years ago. Proud, measured, clean. His coat was dark, his hat lower than before, but I knew that shape. I knew that walk. My blood remembered him faster than my eyes did. He went straight to the bar. Men moved out of his way. He spoke to the barkeep, voice deep, calm, sure. I heard my name in that voice once. Now it was just sound. He ordered whiskey. So did I. The barkeep brought the drinks. Isaac looked around and saw me sitting alone. Our eyes met. For a breath, time did not move. His face did not change, but I saw something stir. Confusion, maybe memory. Then he smiled. The same cold smile he used at trials and funerals. He walked over. Mind if I sit? He asked. My throat felt tight. Free seat, I said. My voice was low, steady. I prayed he could not hear the shaking inside it. He sat across from me, his badge shining under the lamp. He placed his hat on the table and leaned back. New face in Hollow Bend, he said. Haven't seen you before. I don't stay long anywhere, I said. Drifter? Widow, he nodded. Hard times for a woman alone, I manage. He looked at my hands. You don't look like someone who needs help, he said. I don't. He smiled again. It cut like glass. You remind me of someone, he said. I forced a small laugh. Hope she was decent. She was more than that, he said softly. She was dangerous. His words hit me like a nail through cloth. My fingers tightened around my glass. What happened to her? I asked. She died, he said. Long time ago. I looked at his face. No guilt there. Just tired pride. You sure? I asked. I saw it myself, he said. I was there. So was I whispered, but he didn't hear. He took a slow drink. You come from East? He asked. Far enough, I said. Name? Mara. Mara what? Hale. He repeated it like testing a coin's weight. Mara Hale. Pretty name. I looked down at the table. My reflection swam in spilled whiskey. Names don't mean much, I said. They change easy. Maybe, he said. But faces don't. He leaned closer. His eyes were the same color as storm clouds over dry land. They used to make me feel safe. Now they made my stomach turn. You got someone waiting on you, Mara? He asked. Dead, I said. Buried in dust. I'm sorry. I'm not. He smiled again, but this one looked weaker. I know that look, he said. You've seen bad things. I've been them, I said. He laughed once, short and sharp. You talk like you've done killing. I met his eyes. You talk like you've done worse. He raised a brow. What's worse than killing? Letting someone else die for you. The words fell heavy between us. For a second I thought he knew. But he just tilted his glass and said, Can't say I disagree. The barkeep walked by. Isaac waved for another round. My treat, he said. I shook my head. I pay my own way, he smiled. Still proud. Still alive, I said. He watched me drink. You got business in Hollow Bend? Just passing through. Then you picked the wrong night, he said. Trouble brewing. Trouble follows me. He laughed again. Maybe that's why you seem familiar. I looked at his hands. The same hands that once held me under a summer moon. The same hands that pointed when they called me guilty. They looked steady, but a vein twitched near his thumb. He was not calm. Not fully. You keep that badge clean, I said. Part of the job. Doesn't mean the man behind it's clean, too. He froze for a breath. You got something to say, Mrs. Hale? I smiled like I used to when I lied in church. No, Marshal. Just talking. He studied me again. You speak your mind. Better than losing it. He smiled. You sound like her again. Who? The one I told you about. The dead one? Yes. What was her name? He looked away. Doesn't matter now. Everything matters, I said. Even ghosts. He drank slow. Ghosts don't drink whiskey. They watch those who do. He looked at me like a man peering into fog. You talk strange, Mara. I've been alone too long. That'll do it. He sighed. You married? Was. Sorry to hear. He wasn't worth the grief. He chuckled. That's cold. Truth usually is. He nodded, eyes narrowing a bit. You lost someone to violence? You could say that. You get justice? I'm working on it. He leaned forward. Need help? Not from lawmen. That made him smile wide. You don't trust the law? I don't trust men who make it. His hand froze halfway to the glass. For a moment his eyes darkened. Careful, Mara, he said quietly. Words can hang a person. I've been hung before, I said. He laughed softly. You got a strange sense of humor. I wasn't joking. He stared at me, maybe unsure if I meant it. I didn't blink. His smile faded. You remind me more and more of her, he said again. Then maybe you should ask yourself why she died, I said. He didn't answer. His hand brushed the table edge close to mine. I could smell the whiskey on his breath, sharp and sweet. For a moment, I almost felt the old ache rise. That memory of his touch, the way he said my name like it mattered. I swallowed it down. You ever lose sleep, Marshall? I asked. Sometimes. Why? Old things, he said. Can't fix them. Ever try? Some things stay broke, I nodded. If you say so. He looked at my left hand. My ring finger was bare, scarred where a band used to be. How long since your man passed? He asked. Years. You still think of him? Only when I see men who lie. He smiled again. You sound bitter. I sound awake. He laughed. You'd fit in this town fine. I don't plan to stay. He sighed. Shame. Hollow Bend could use strong women. I thought it had plenty. Not the kind that look me in the eye. I don't fear eyes, Marshall. You should, he said. Eyes see more than ears hear. I smiled faintly. Not always. He studied me long. You're hiding something. So are you. He tilted his head. You think so? I know so. What makes you sure? The way you talk like a preacher at his own funeral. He laughed again, but it was empty. You've got sharp words, Mara. They keep me alive. From what? From men like you. He leaned back, slow. You wound me. Then we're even. His hand brushed near his coat, where his gun sat. My fingers found the knife hidden in my skirt. For one heartbeat, the world was only breath and fear. He smiled again, calm as ever. Relax, he said. I don't shoot ladies. Good thing I'm not one, I said. He grinned. You really are like her. Maybe she's not as dead as you think, I said. He frowned. What do you mean? Nothing, just talk. He finished his drink and stood. The room was loud again. The world had returned. He placed his hat back on, eyes never leaving mine. You be careful, Mrs. Hale, he said. This town remembers faces. So do I whispered. He paused, then smiled that same empty smile. Ma'am, he said, you remind me of someone I used to know. He tipped his hat and walked out. His boots echoed like slow thunder. I watched him go until the door closed behind him. My hand trembled under the table. I opened my palm. The knife's edge had cut the skin. A thin line of blood ran across my lifeline. I stared at it and whispered, You did know her. You buried her. The wind outside pushed dust through the cracks of the door. The saloon music started again. I sat still, breathing through the storm inside me. The whiskey burned in my throat, and for the first time in years it tasted like blood. The church ruins stood quiet under the pale moon. I walked there after sunset, boots sinking into the soft ash. Every step sounded like the whisper of an old ghost. The roof was gone, the walls broken, the altar split in half. I went there to be alone. I never was. Jonas's voice came from the dark. You always walk like you're running from something. I walk like I'm not afraid, I said. That's the same thing, he answered. He came forward, coat brushing against stone. His eyes caught the moonlight. Found something while digging through the rubble. What? He held out a small bundle wrapped in cloth. Letters, old ones. Your name on them. My hands shook. Where did you get them? Behind the altar. Buried deep. Maybe you hid them yourself, or maybe someone wanted them gone. I took the bundle and sat on a fallen beam. The cloth smelled of smoke and dust. I untied it. My own handwriting stared back at me. Jonas crouched beside me. You going to read them? I already know what they say. Then why do you look scared? Because I remember the woman who wrote them, I whispered. He said nothing. I opened the first letter. Isaac, it began. I still believe in you. Even now when they say you turned against me, I can't stop hoping you'll come. I stopped. My throat closed. Jonas waited. You wrote to him? I wrote to the man I thought he was. He reached for another page. May I? I nodded. He read softly. They came for the land. Ezekiel sent them. They shot him before sunrise. You said you'd protect us. Where were you? Jonas looked up. You were telling the truth all along. I stared at the torn paper. The truth didn't save me then. Won't save me now. It can still change things, he said. No, truth is slow. Lies ride faster. He folded the letters carefully. Why keep them hidden? Because words don't stop bullets, he sighed. You talk like a ghost. I was hung once, remember? Maybe I still am. He gave me a long look. You want justice or blood? The question hit like a hammer. I stood up. I don't know the difference anymore. He rose too. You should learn before you start killing. I turned away. Don't preach to me, Jonas. I'm not preaching. I'm warning. You think revenge will fill the hole. It won't. I don't want it filled, I said. I want it to burn. He walked closer. And what happens after it's all ash? Then I'll rest. He touched my arm. You don't rest by killing. You rest by forgiving, I laughed. It sounded dry and broken. Forgive the man who hung me? Forgive the ones who buried my name? Yes, he said simply. Because if you don't, they still own you. I don't belong to anyone. He smiled sadly. You belong to the rope. It's still around your neck. You just can't feel it. The wind blew dust into my face. I looked at the torn pages in my hands. You're wrong. The rope broke. That was the mistake they made. He lowered his head. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe it was mercy. I turned to him. You think God had mercy that day? I think someone did. I folded the letters again, tight and sharp. Then maybe I'll return the favor. I'll show mercy when they beg for it. He frowned. And what if they don't beg? Then I'll teach them how. Jonas stepped back, shaking his head. I can't follow you down this road, Mara. You already did, I said quietly. You found the letters? He looked at me for a long time. If you ever forget who you were, read them again. They'll remind you. I don't want to remember, I said. I want to finish. He walked toward the doorless frame. Then you'll finish alone. I watched him leave, the moonlight catching on his coat buttons like fading stars. The silence pressed heavy after he was gone. I sat on the cold stone floor and held the letters close to my chest. I could almost hear my own voice from the past whispering inside them, full of hope, full of trust. The kind of voice that dies before the body does. I stayed there until I heard footsteps behind me. Jonas, I said softly. You came back fast. It's not Jonas, a voice answered. I turned. Clara stood there, cloak pulled tight, face pale as candlelight. I froze. How did you find me? You leave tracks like a ghost that wants to be followed, she said. You shouldn't be here. She stepped closer. Neither should you. Isaac knows there's a stranger in town asking questions. I'm not a stranger. You are to him, she said. And it's better that way? Her voice trembled. I remembered her laugh from years ago, light and warm. Now it was thin as smoke. I came to warn you, she said. He's starting to remember. Good, I said. Let him. Her eyes widened. You don't mean... I mean it's time. She grabbed my arm. Eve, please, I froze. The name hit me like a bullet. Don't call me that. Then what should I call you? Mara, Widow Hale. The dead woman who walks at night. I pulled my arm free. Call me what you like. Names don't change what he did. She looked around the ruins. This place still smells of death. I smell it everywhere, I said. Clara bit her lip. You need to leave, tonight, before he sees you. Why do you care? Because I still remember who you were, she whispered. Before the fire. Before the trial. And what was I? You were kind. I laughed again, softer this time. Kindness didn't save me. No, but it saved others, she said. Don't lose that. I looked at her face, tired, older, but still holding the guilt she'd carried all these years. Tell me something, I said. When they said I killed him, did you believe it? Her mouth opened, then closed. Tell me, I pressed. She looked down. I wanted to believe you didn't. But you did, I said. Tears filled her eyes. They said there was proof. They said Isaac saw... Isaac lied, I cut in. She nodded slowly. I know that now. Now? I asked. After all this time? I was afraid, she said. If I stood by you, they'd come for me too. They wouldn't have, I said. They already had what they wanted. The land, she whispered. The land, I repeated. And my silence. We stood there for a moment, just the two of us and the ghosts. I can help you leave, she said. Money, a horse? I don't need help. Yes, you do. You can't fight them all. I'm not fighting them all. Just one. Isaac? I nodded. She shook her head. He's not the same. Neither am I. Then maybe you both lost too much to win anything, she said. Her words hit deep. For a moment I saw the old days. Sunlight, laughter, a house that still stood. Then I saw fire and rope again, and the feeling passed. I picked up the letters. He took everything from me. Let me take something back. What will it give you? She asked. Peace. That's not peace. That's poison. I met her eyes. Sometimes they're the same. She looked away, shaking. You sound like the preacher. He tried to save me too. And? I didn't ask to be saved. She stepped closer. Promise me you'll think about what you're doing. I already have, I said. Her eyes softened. You used to be my sister in all but blood. I still love you like one. Then pray for me, I said. That's what sisters do. Tears slid down her cheeks. If you go after him, you'll lose what's left of you. Maybe that's the point. She turned to leave, then stopped. Eve, I waited. If he remembers who you are, if he comes for you, what will you do? I held the letters tight. I'll remind him, she nodded slowly. I'll light a candle for you. Don't waste the wax, I said. She hesitated, then walked away, her steps fading into the night. I stayed in the ruins, the moon sinking low. The letters felt heavy, like stones tied to my heart. I opened one last page, read the last line I ever wrote before they came for me. If I die, let them know I was innocent. If I live, let them fear me. I folded it again and put it in my coat. The wind blew harder. Somewhere far away, a bell rang. Hollow, lonely. I whispered to the night, you can hang me again if you must. But this time, I'll cut the rope myself. Then I walked out of the ruins and back into the dark. The wind carried dust like ash. It cut my face as I rode into Dry Hollow. The place was dying, just bones of old men and the smell of whiskey. I had heard that the hangman lived here, blind now, half mad, still counting ghosts. His name was Joe. They called him Old Joe the Rope. I tied my horse outside a shack that leaned like it had given up on standing. Smoke rose from a crooked chimney. A dog barked once, then fell quiet. I knocked on the door. A man's voice rasped. Who's there? Someone who lived, I said. Silence. Then the door creaked open. He stood there, white eyes staring at nothing, hands shaking around a cane. His beard was long and gray, his shirt torn. He smelled of fire and fear. Who are you? He asked. You tried to hang me once, I said. You failed. His mouth opened, but no sound came. He stepped back like he had seen a ghost. Eve Cross? That name's dead, I said. But yes, it was me. He dropped the cane. It hit the floor with a hollow sound. Lord above, he whispered. They said you burned. They said the desert took you. I walked out of the desert, I said. And I came to ask why the rope broke. He turned toward the fire. Come in. The night's cold and ghosts like warm rooms. I entered. The place was dark and small, filled with the smell of dust and soup gone bad. There was a table with 2 cups, one chipped, one clean. He poured coffee, hands trembling so bad it spilled. I never thought I'd see you again, he said. I never thought I'd live, I said. He sat down, shaking his head. I still hear it, you know. The crowd shouting, the priest mumbling, the rope creaking, then the sound of it snapping. I thought God had struck it. God had nothing to do with it, I said. Tell me the truth. He took a long breath. You sure you want it? I've lived too long with lies. He nodded slowly. Then you should know. It was no accident. My heart stopped. What? The rope was made to break, he said. Someone paid me. I stared at him. Who? He didn't answer right away. He rubbed his face like he was washing away years of dirt. I didn't want to take the money, he said. But my boy was sick. The doctor said he'd die without medicine. I had no choice. There's always a choice, I said. My voice shook. Maybe, he said. But hunger makes a man blind before time does. Who paid you? I asked again. He pointed toward the fire. The name's burned there already, but I can write it if you want to see it. He fumbled for a piece of paper and a charcoal stub. His fingers trembled as he wrote. When he handed it to me, the word was clear even in the dark. Ezekiel Crane. My breath caught. Isaac's father, he nodded. Said he wanted the rope weak enough to break, strong enough to hurt. Said a clean death was too kind for you. He wanted you to live long enough to crawl. I felt my stomach twist. I could taste iron in my mouth. He bought my suffering. Old Joe nodded. He said it was justice. Said the law must show mercy, but not too much. Mercy, I said. That word should burn. He bowed his head. I've tried to make it right, I prayed. I told the sheriff, but he told me to shut my mouth. Said if I spoke, they'd hang me next. I stared into the fire. You kept the money? He shook his head. I buried it with my boy. He died anyway. The room fell silent. The only sound was the wind pushing against the walls. I came here thinking maybe I'd find peace, he said. But every night I hear your voice. Every morning I feel that rope in my hands. I looked at his shaking fingers. The same rope. He nodded toward a chest by the wall. It's there. I kept it. Couldn't throw it away. Maybe I thought if I held it long enough I'd pay for what I did. I walked to the chest and opened it. The rope lay coiled like a sleeping snake. I touched it. It felt dry and cold like bone. He said softly, "You hate me?" I looked at him. His eyes were white as milk, his face carved with sorrow. "I don't hate you," I said. "You are just another man who sold his soul cheap," he sighed. "That's worse than hate." I picked up the rope. "You want to make it right?" "What do you mean?" "Tell me everything Ezekiel said." He leaned back, breathing hard. "He came to me 3 days before the hanging. Said he wanted you punished, not dead. Said the girl had fire in her and fire should burn slow. He gave me gold coins. Told me to weaken the rope, not cut it, just enough to snap after the drop." I clenched my fists. "And Isaac? Did he know?" Joe nodded weakly. "He stood behind his father that day. Said nothing, but his eyes told me he knew." My chest ached. "He watched me die, and he knew." Joe's voice cracked. He looked away when it broke. Maybe shame, maybe fear. I don't know. I turned back to the fire. "I do." He coughed, a dry, hard sound. "You going to kill him?" "I haven't decided." He nodded. "Then God help you both." I laughed bitterly. "God left Hollow Bend a long time ago." We sat in silence. The fire popped and hissed. Finally, he said, "You got the truth you wanted." "Now what?" "I finish it." He nodded again, slow and tired. "Then I got one more thing to say." "I ain't got long left. The cough's killing me faster than guilt. But before I go, I need to ask, do you forgive me?" I looked at him for a long time. His eyes stared past me, blind to mercy and light. "I don't forgive for free," I said. "I got nothing left to pay with." "Then you can't buy peace." He bowed his head. "I thought maybe if I told you I'd sleep tonight." "You won't," I said. "Not till the rope hangs again." He smiled, weak but honest. "Fair enough." I stood up, rope still in my hands. "You said you buried the gold with your boy." He nodded. "Then you kept your promise," I said. "That's more than most men do." He reached out, groping the air until his hand found my sleeve. "Eve, that name's dead," I said again. "Mara, then." "You remember what you said before the drop?" I frowned. "No. You said, if I live, the truth will hang someone else." I stared at him. "Did I?" He nodded. "Maybe the rope just kept its word." I turned toward the door. "Maybe it did." He said quietly, "Take it with you, the rope. End what it started." I looked down at it, coiled around my arm. "I will." When I stepped outside, the night hit cold. The moon hung low, pale as bone. My horse shifted, impatient. Behind me, I heard Joe cough again, long and deep like his lungs were turning to dust. I climbed onto my horse and looked back at the shack. Smoke curled out the chimney, carrying the smell of regret. He shouted weakly, "You still believe in forgiveness?" I called back, "Only for the dead." Then I rode off into the dark. The road stretched empty, wind whispering through the grass. I felt the rope heavy across my saddle. It was more than twine. It was truth twisted into a circle. The stars above looked like watching eyes. I thought of Isaac, of his father, of that day on the gallows. The way the crowd roared when the trap fell, the snap that never came, the silence that followed. Now I knew why it broke, and I knew what had to come next. I rode till dawn painted the desert red. The sun rose like a wound, and I didn't blink. Old Joe's voice stayed with me. End what it started. I would, not for peace. Not for mercy, for truth, and for every breath I had taken since that rope broke. The saloon doors groaned as I stepped inside. Smoke and cheap perfume filled the air. The piano man played a slow tune, the kind that hides pain behind a smile. I kept my hat low and my voice quiet. No one here knew my name, and I meant to keep it that way. I came for one thing, a rumor. A singer named Annie Cross, a name too close to the one I buried years ago. A man at the bar leaned toward me. "You look lost, ma'am." "Need help?" "I'm looking for the singer," I said. "Annie Cross." He grinned, teeth yellow as dust. "You're lucky. She's on in 5. I turned to the small stage. The curtains were red, the light dim. I held my breath when she walked out. She wore a blue dress that shimmered like river water. Her hair, the same chestnut brown I once braided when we were girls. My heart stopped. I knew that face. Older, thinner, but it was her. My sister, Mary Ann. She sang a song about home and rain and lost courage. Her voice broke in the middle, soft and rough, like it still carried ghosts. I whispered, "Mary Ann." Her eyes found me in the crowd. For a second, her voice caught. The piano stumbled. Then she looked away, pretending not to know me. When the song ended, the crowd clapped. I didn't. I walked to the back door where singers came out for air. The door opened. She stepped out, holding a small fan and a cigarette. "You shouldn't be here," she said, not looking at me. "You're alive," I said. "All this time you were alive." Her hand shook. "Keep your voice down." "They can't know." "Who, Crane?" I asked. She turned, eyes sharp. "You still say his name like a curse." "It is a curse," I said. "He's the reason I was left to hang." She sighed, looking up at the stars. "You were supposed to die." "They said you did." "I did," I said. "Then I didn't. The rope broke." Maybe the wind took pity. Marianne looked at me for the first time. Her eyes filled with tears. "I had to run. They said I'd be next. Isaac's father sent men after me. I hid, changed my name, came here, and sang under our family name," I said. "It was the only part of us I could keep," she whispered. I stepped closer. "Why didn't you find me?" She bit her lip. "Because I thought you hated me. You sent no letters. I had no hands to write with," I said. "They tied them behind my back." She covered her mouth. "God, don't call him," I said. He didn't come. The silence sat heavy between us. The sound of laughter from inside felt wrong, too alive for our graveyard talk. "I heard about you," she said. "They say you go by another name now." "Mara Hale. That's what they call me," I said. "It keeps the dead quiet." She looked afraid. "Eve, you can't stay here. Isaac still rides through this town. If he sees me, he'll remember," I said. "That's the plan." She grabbed my arm. "Don't do this." "Leave with me. We can go south, Mexico, new life. No more hate." I pulled free. "Forgiveness without truth is a lie." "I can't live on lies anymore. You think revenge will save you?" she asked. "No," I said. "But maybe it will bury the ones who tried to bury me." She turned away, crying. "You sound just like him." "Like who?" "Isaac," she whispered. "He said justice was the same as love." "He was wrong. So are you." I didn't answer. My hands shook, not from fear but from memory. She reached into her dress and pulled out a folded paper. "I kept this," she said. I opened it. A picture of the three of us, me, her, and Isaac, standing by the river. We were smiling, my dress white, her hair tied with a red ribbon, his arm around us both. I felt the world tilt. "I can't burn this," she said. I tried. Every time the fire went out. "I can," I said, and tore the photo in half. "The past doesn't deserve fire. It deserves dust." Marianne looked at the torn pieces in my hand. "You scare me," she said. "I scare myself," I said. She wiped her eyes. "He didn't mean to hurt you." "You know that?" "He swore under oath that I killed my husband," I said. "He watched me walk to the rope." "He did it to save you," she said. "You don't know what his father—" "I know enough," I cut in. "His father bought the land, bought the law, and bought his son's soul." The saloon door creaked open. A man's voice broke through the night. "Annie!" Marianne froze. The sound of boots followed, slow, steady. Then I saw him. Isaac Crane. Older, broader, his badge glinting in the moonlight. His eyes scanned the alley and stopped on her. "There you are," he said. "You disappeared from the stage. Folks are asking." "I needed air," she said, voice trembling. He smiled. "Can't blame you. It's hot inside." Then his gaze moved past her. To me. I turned my head slightly, keeping my face in shadow. "Who's your friend?" he asked. "Just a traveler," Marianne said quickly. "Passing through." He tipped his hat toward me. "Evening, ma'am." I nodded. "Marshall." He stepped closer. "You've been here before. You look familiar." "Lots of faces look the same in this light," I said. He smiled again, soft, almost kind. "Maybe, but I never forget a pair of eyes." Marianne grabbed his arm. "Isaac, we should go back in." He didn't move. "You sure I don't know you, ma'am?" I forced a small smile. "If you did, you'd remember." He laughed. "Fair enough. Well, welcome to Hollow Bend. Not much law, but plenty of whiskey." "I'll drink to that," I said. He tipped his hat once more and led Marianne inside. She looked back at me over her shoulder. Her eyes begged me to leave. I didn't. I watched through the window as she took the stage again. Isaac sat near the front, watching her like a man staring at a ghost he couldn't name. I whispered to myself, "He still loves her." Jonas's words echoed in my head. "If you dig up ghosts, make sure they don't dig you first." I felt them digging. Deep. When her song ended, Isaac clapped. His hand brushed hers when she bowed. I saw her flinch. I left the window and walked to the stables. My horse snorted, restless. I stroked her neck, trying to calm her. Or maybe myself. You saw him, I whispered. The man who killed us both. The night wind carried the sound of her voice from inside, soft and broken. I wanted to hate her for staying near him, but I couldn't. She was a prisoner of love, same as I once was. I leaned against the fence, staring at the moon. My hands still smelled of dust and rope. He hadn't recognized me. Not yet. But the way his eyes lingered, the small pause before he looked away, part of him had felt it. That whisper in the blood that says, "She's not gone." Marianne came out later, alone this time. Her steps were slow, her face pale. "He asked about you," she said. "He doesn't know, but something in him remembers." "Good," I said. "Let it haunt him," she shivered. "Eve, please, end it. Don't come back tomorrow." "I will," I said, "until he sees me for who I am. And then he'll pay." She covered her face with her hands. "You'll die for this." "I already did," I said. She started crying again. "I loved him once." "I still do." "I know," I said. "That's why I can't forgive him. He broke more than hearts." She took my hand, pressing it against her chest. "If you kill him, something in you dies too. Maybe that's the part that should have died long ago." We stood in silence, two ghosts clinging to what was left of home. "I'll leave soon," she whispered. "Tomorrow night. There's a train." "You should," I said. "You still have a chance at peace." "What about you?" "I don't believe in peace," I said. "Only balance," she nodded slowly. "If you ever find forgiveness, send it my way." "I'll be waiting." "I won't find it," I said. "Not in this world." Her lips trembled. "Then maybe in the next." She kissed my cheek and walked away. Her shadow faded under the lantern light, small and shaking. I stayed there till the stars thinned. The world felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I looked toward the saloon once more. Through the dusty window, Isaac Crane sat alone, drinking slow, staring at the stage where my sister had been. I knew what that look meant. He felt the past knocking. He just didn't know which ghost was coming for him. I whispered into the dark, "Soon, Marshall. Soon you'll see the face you buried." The wind answered with a low howl that sounded almost like laughter, or maybe sorrow. I mounted my horse and rode away from the lights. The rope in my saddlebag brushing against my leg, it felt alive again. The road looked empty, but I could smell men. Gun oil, sweat, fear. The wind moved through the dry grass like it knew what was coming. Jonah stood beside me, quiet as stone, eyes on the bend ahead. "You sure they'll come this way?" he asked. "They have to," I said. "It's the only road that crosses the river before dusk." He nodded, checked his rifle. "And the proof?" "In that wagon," I said. "Land deeds, stolen by Crane's men." Jonah spat into the dirt. "Then we take them back." I could taste dust in my mouth. "We take them," I said. "And we don't miss." He gave a dry laugh. "You sound like someone who already buried her soul." "Maybe I did," I said. "A long time ago." The sun burned low. The air held that quiet before thunder. I crouched behind a broken fence post, my hand on my revolver. Jonas took cover near a dead tree. Hooves echoed through the canyon road. 3 riders, 1 wagon behind them. I counted shapes, guns, hats. Sheriff Dorsey's men. The same ones who burned my home. Jonas whispered, "You take the front." "I'll cut the back loose," I nodded. My heart beat hard but steady. When the wagon reached the mark, I stood and fired. The first shot took a rider clean off his saddle. The others yelled, firing back. Bullets cracked through dry air. I hit the ground, rolled behind the fence. Jonas's rifle answered from the tree line. "Move," he shouted. I ran low, boots kicking up dirt. The wagon veered, horses screaming. 1 bullet grazed my arm, hot and sharp. I gritted my teeth and kept firing. "Drop your guns," I shouted. "Now!" 1 man fell, clutching his leg. The driver tried to turn, but Jonas hit him square in the shoulder. He dropped, and the reins flew free. The wagon rolled downhill, crashing against a rock. We rushed to it. Jonas pulled the tarp back. Boxes of papers sealed and stamped with Crane's mark. "Got them," he said. "Grab what you can," I said. Then I heard shouting. More riders coming. Dorsey himself leading them. "Hell," Jonas muttered. "They brought the sheriff." "Then we finished this fast," I said. Luke appeared from the ridge, horse-lathered, face pale. "Mara, they saw you! They know you're here!" He looked terrified. "The boy should have never followed us. Luke, go back." I shouted. "I can help," he said. "I can—" A bullet struck near his feet. He froze. "Cover him!" I yelled. Jonas fired. I pulled Luke down behind the wagon. "Stay low!" "They'll kill you," he said, shaking. "Not if I kill them first." Dorsey's voice echoed from the hill. "You can't hide, Hale. The law's on my side." I laughed bitterly. Law died with truth. Jonas reloaded. "They're spreading out. We can't hold them long. We just need time," I said. "For what?" "For the river to rise." He looked at me, puzzled. Then he heard it. Thunder far off, real this time. "Rain coming down the valley. God's on your side again," Jonas said. "No," I said. "He just owes me one." We fired again. Dorsey's men tried to flank us. Luke crawled beside me, handing extra bullets. His hands shook, but he didn't run. "Mara," he said softly, "why are you really doing this?" "To end it." "For him?" "For me." A shot cracked. Luke jerked, eyes wide. Blood bloomed on his chest. He gasped once, mouth opening, then closed forever. I froze. The sound of rain started soft, then heavy, hitting the dirt like tears from the sky. "Luke!" Jonas shouted, but the boy was gone. My hands trembled. Blood warm on my fingers. My fault. Jonas grabbed my shoulder. "We have to move." I shook my head. "No, not yet." He dragged me behind the wagon as bullets tore through wood. "Don't die for ghosts," he said. "I made a promise," I whispered. No more running. I stood and fired again until the hammer clicked empty. Jonas cursed and pulled me down. The rain made mud under our knees. Smoke from gunfire mixed with the storm. Dorsey's men began to fall back, yelling, spooked by thunder and lightning. Jonas saw them retreat. "We've got a chance." "We can cross now." I stared at Luke's still body. He was a child. Jonas nodded. "That's what war takes first." I closed Luke's eyes and took his badge. He believed in good. "That's rare here. We have to go," Jonas said again. I stood, my coat-soaked boots sinking in the mud. We ran toward the river as the rain grew heavier. The water churned fast, angry. Jonas jumped down first, guiding the horses through the shallows. "The bridge won't hold much longer," he called. I followed, clutching the box of deeds. Lightning lit the world white. The rope bridge swayed, half broken, creaking under weight. Halfway across, I looked back. The road was red with mud and blood. Dorsey's men scattered like crows. Jonas shouted, "Come on!" I forced myself forward. The wood groaned under my boots. My arm throbbed where the bullet had grazed me. When we reached the far bank, Jonas grabbed my hand, pulling me up. "You're bleeding," he said. "It's not deep." He looked at me. "You sure?" "I can still shoot," I said. He laughed once. "You're something else, Mara." I didn't answer. My heart was heavy. We hid the wagon under the trees. Jonas built a small fire. The rain eased, turning to mist. He looked at me over the flames. "You think it was worth it?" I stared into the fire. "Luke's dead. Dorsey's hurt. Crane will come harder now." "That's not an answer." "No," I said. "It wasn't worth it. But it was needed." He nodded slowly. "That's what every sinner says before praying." I smiled without joy. "I stopped praying years ago." He leaned closer. "You still talk to someone when you sleep." "You say his name." I looked away. "Old ghosts. They don't listen anyway." Jonas fed the fire another stick. "We have the deeds." "That's proof enough to hang them all." "Hanging doesn't bring peace," I said. "Then what does?" "Nothing," I whispered. "Peace is just the quiet after the gunshot." Jonas studied me a moment. "You're not the same woman I found in the desert." "I'm what they made," I said. "And maybe what I chose," he sighed. "You can still stop." "No," I said. "It's too late. The river's already taken one soul tonight." He nodded toward the far side. "We'll ride at dawn. Hide the papers near the chapel ruins. Then head for Hollow Bend." "I know," I said. He rose, brushing mud from his coat. "Get some rest." I stayed by the fire, staring into its heart. Smoke curled like memory. Luke's badge sat on the ground beside me. I touched it gently. "I'm sorry, kid," I said softly. "You wanted to help." "You did." The wind carried the smell of rain and iron. Jonas's voice came from behind me. "You'll kill Crane when you see him, won't you?" "Yes. And after?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe the river will take me too." He sat beside me. "You talk like a ghost." "Maybe I am one." He looked at me a long time. "You're not done yet. The truth's still breathing." "The truth died years ago," I said. "I'm just here to bury it right." He didn't argue. The fire crackled between us. The night pressed close, heavy and wet. After a while, I spoke again. "When I was a girl, I used to sit by this same river. I thought it could wash anything clean. Jonas nodded. Maybe it still can. Not this, I said. Not blood. Not lies, he smiled sadly. Then maybe it carries them away so you don't have to. I didn't answer. The fire burned low. My hands were red with dried blood. I tried to wash them in the river, but the stains stayed. Jonas watched. You can't clean the soul with water. I can try, I said. He walked to his bedroll, lay down. Get some sleep, Mara. I sat alone, listening to the river talk. It sounded like whispers, Luke's voice maybe, or my own guilt answering. I closed my eyes. In the darkness I saw Isaac's face, calm, cruel, the day he testified. He said, "She killed him." I saw it, and the crowd believed. I opened my eyes again. The storm had passed, but the clouds still hung low. Jonas slept. The fire was dying. I wrapped Luke's badge in cloth and tied it to my belt. When the dawn came, the river glowed red under the rising sun. It looked like blood. Maybe it was. I stood, packed the papers, and mounted my horse. Jonas stirred, bleary-eyed. You ready? He asked. No, I said. But I'll go anyway. He climbed onto his horse beside me. The river hissed behind us as we rode out. The air smelled of smoke and rain. I didn't look back. Luke's voice still echoed in my mind. They'll kill you. Maybe they would. Maybe that was the point. The road ahead was wet, dark, endless. My heart beat with the rhythm of hooves and thunder. And somewhere beyond the hills, Isaac Crane waited. The man who killed my name, my love, my peace. I whispered to the wind, "You took everything. Now I'll take it back." The river roared behind me like applause or warning. I couldn't tell which, but I rode faster because I knew one truth. Only one of us would see another sunrise. The crowd gathered before the courthouse like it was a hanging. I could feel the heat of their eyes on my skin as I walked through them. Some whispered my name, some spat near my boots, but I kept walking. I had died once in this town. Today I came to bury its lies. "Morning, Marshal," I said when Isaac Crane met me at the steps. He froze. "You." I came home, I said. His hand went to his gun. "You're under arrest." "I know," I said. "Do it proper this time." He hesitated, then pulled the cuffs from his belt. The steel bit my wrists, cold and familiar. "You don't even fight?" he asked. "No, not today." The people pushed closer, their faces half eager, half afraid. I saw Clara's pale eyes in the crowd and Marianne's tearful stare near the doorway. Jonas stood behind them, holding a leather satchel tight. He nodded once. The papers were safe. Inside the courthouse, the air smelled of sweat and dust. The wooden benches were full. Sheriff Dorsey sat behind Isaac, smug as a vulture. Judge Wilkes adjusted his spectacles and looked down at me. "Name?" he asked. "Evelyn Cross," I said. "But you called me Mara Hale when you thought I was dead." A murmur rippled through the room. Isaac's jaw tightened. The judge banged his gavel. "Order." Isaac cleared his throat. "The accused stands for the murder of her husband, Samuel Cross." I lifted my head. "And for living after you hung me, I suppose." The judge frowned. "Marshal, is this true?" The woman was believed dead. Isaac nodded. "She escaped execution by unknown means." "I didn't escape," I said. The rope broke. Maybe God had second thoughts. A few laughs came from the back, nervous, sharp. The judge sighed. "Very well. We'll hear your defense. But be warned, this town remembers." "Oh, I remember too," I said. Isaac looked uneasy. "This isn't wise, Eve." "Don't call me that," I cut in. "Not anymore." He looked away. Jonas stepped forward. "Your Honor, if I may present evidence on behalf of Miss Cross." The judge frowned but nodded. Jonas opened the satchel and placed a bundle of papers on the table. "These are letters written by the accused and records from the Crane estate. They show that the land dispute between the Cross and Crane families ended in murder, not by her hand, but by order of Ezekiel Crane." The crowd gasped. Isaac stood. "That's a lie." Jonas met his eyes. "Then read your father's seal." Isaac reached for the papers with trembling hands. The red wax mark was clear, the Crane family's crest. His face drained of color. "I don't know anything about this," he said weakly. I smiled. "You knew enough to stay silent." "I did what I had to," he said. "Your husband was violent." "You were—" "Don't you dare," I said, voice shaking. "You were in my house that night. You heard him beg. You saw your father's men shoot him. You saw me covered in his blood and said nothing." The room fell silent. Even the judge didn't breathe. Isaac's eyes met mine. "You don't understand." If I had spoken, my family would lose their land, I said. You sold me for dirt. He slammed his hand on the table. I loved you. I stared at him. Then you should have loved the truth more. The judge coughed. Marshal, control yourself. Isaac turned to the crowd. You think I wanted this? You think I slept easy while she rotted in the dark? Tell them, I said softly. He looked at me, and for the first time in years, I saw the boy he had been. Scared, proud, lost. I lied, he said. The words came slow, broken. I told the court she confessed. I said I saw her do it. None of it was true. The noise in the room grew wild. Dorsey shouted, He's lying now. She's tricking him. The judge hit the gavel again and again. Quiet. Isaac kept talking louder. My father forced me. He said if I spoke against him, he'd ruin me. I was a coward. I let her die because I was afraid. Clara cried out, covering her face. Mary Ann sobbed against the wall. I stepped closer. Say it again. He looked at me, tears running down his face. I'm sorry. For what? For everything, he said. For the rope. For the lies. For still loving you. My hands shook inside the cuffs. Love doesn't live in lies. He nodded slowly. Then maybe I never loved you right. The judge leaned back. This court will need time to review these claims. Jonas stood tall. Your Honor, the town deserves to know now. The judge sighed. Very well. The accused is to be released pending. The shot cracked the air. For a moment, no one moved. Smoke hung like a ghost between us. Isaac's body jerked. A red bloom spread across his shirt. The crowd screamed. I turned and saw him, Ezekiel Crane, standing on the gallery stairs, pistol raised, eyes burning. My son belongs to this family. He roared. Not to guilt, not to her. Guards shouted. People ducked. Isaac fell against the table. Father, stop! Another shot tore the wall. Jonas grabbed me, pulling me behind the bench. Stay down. The judge shouted for order, but there was no law left. The town had gone mad. I crawled toward Isaac. Don't move, I said. He smiled weakly. Guess this is justice. Don't you dare die on me, I said. He coughed, blood touching his lips. You always were stubborn. I pressed my hand to his wound. You'll live. He shook his head. No, I won't, Ezekiel fired again, screaming. You ruined him. You witch. Jonas aimed his revolver. Drop it, old man. Ezekiel laughed, wild and broken. This town was mine, all of it. The land, the law, even her. He pointed at me. She was mine too. I stood, the world ringing in my ears. You never owned me, he fired. The bullet ripped the air beside my face. Jonas shot back. The old man stumbled, fell, still clutching the gun. The crowd burst from the benches. Some ran, some screamed. The sheriff tried to draw, but a bullet from nowhere hit his shoulder. Chaos spilled through the door like floodwater. I knelt beside Isaac again. His eyes fluttered. I tried to make it right, he whispered. You did, I said, even though it was a lie. He smiled faintly. Maybe the rope should have held. No, I said. It broke for a reason. He reached for my hand. Tell them I wasn't all bad. I'll tell them, I said, though I knew no one would listen. His fingers went slack. The gunfire stopped. The air smelled of smoke and fear. Jonas touched my shoulder. It's over, I shook my head. No, not yet. Ezekiel still breathed, crawling toward his fallen gun. I walked over, picked it up, and held it steady. He glared at me. Go on, finish it. That's what you came for. I stared down at him. You already finished it. He spat blood. You think you're clean now? I'll never be clean, I said. But I'm free. He laughed weakly. No one's free in this land. I turned away. Then maybe it's time someone was. Outside, the sun burned red against the dust. The people of Hollow Bend gathered again, but this time no one shouted. They just watched, silent, as I walked out of the courthouse with the cuffs still on my wrists. Jonas called after me. Eve, wait! I stopped. What? You need to rest. I can't, I said. Not till it ends. Mary Ann came running, her voice breaking. He's gone, isn't he? I nodded. She covered her face and sobbed. What will you do now? I looked at the horizon. Whatever justice is left. The wind carried dust across the street. The gallows still stood in the square, old and rotting. I stared at the beam that once held my rope. People whispered again. That's her, the woman who died and came back. I walked past them without a word. Behind me, someone shouted, Is it true? Did she kill the marshal? I didn't turn. Jonas caught up beside me. They'll come for you. I know, you could run. I did once. I'm done running, he sighed. Then let me stay with you. I looked at him, at the worry in his eyes. You already have. We walked together down the empty street. From the courthouse came a final scream, Ezekiel's voice, hoarse and broken. Then the sound of boots, then silence. Jonas looked back. He's dead. I didn't answer. My throat felt dry as sand. The town bell rang once, slow and heavy. I whispered, Maybe now the dead can rest. Jonas said nothing. The wind carried the smell of smoke and blood, the same as the night I first died, and I kept walking. The gunfire stopped. Smoke hung low over the courtroom. The floor smelled of blood and dust. My ears rang like church bells after a storm. I stood near the table, my hands shaking, my heart a stone. Isaac lay on the floor, clutching his shoulder. His father, Ezekiel Crane, gasped beside him, his old chest full of holes. I walked to them. My boots made no sound. Don't, Isaac whispered. He's dying. I know, I said. He should. Ezekiel coughed, blood spilling from his mouth. You, he rasped. You should have stayed dead. I tried, I said softly. He laughed once, then went still. His hand slipped from Isaac's grasp. The room was quiet, only the wind pushing through the broken window. I stared at his body. For a moment I felt nothing. Then a slow burn started in my chest. Not joy, not sorrow. Just the end of something rotten. Isaac looked up at me. You got what you came for. No, I said. Not yet. He tried to stand, stumbled, fell again. I reached for the rope on the evidence table, the same one they'd used on me years ago. The same one that broke when fate changed its mind. It was rough and brown and smelled of dust and sweat. His eyes followed my hands. You kept it? They did, I said. The town used it for proof. I guess justice likes trophies. He stared at the rope. You gonna hang me now? I looked at him, the man who'd once promised me forever, who'd lied, who'd watched me choke and swing. My voice came quiet. You said the law would decide who's guilty. It did. Now it's my turn. He laughed weakly. You always had fire in you, and you always poured water on it. Jonas came from behind the bench, his coat torn. Eve, he said, don't do this. I'm not killing him, I said. I'm just giving him what he asked for. Mary Ann stood by the door, her face pale. Please, sister, she whispered. It's over. It's not, I said. It never ends. It just changes its name. I dragged the rope across the floor. It scraped like dry snakeskin. Isaac watched, silent. His breathing came hard. You remember that night? I asked. The gallows, the crowd. You said I'd get a fair death. He swallowed. I remember. You lied then, I said. Lie to me now. Tell me you don't regret it. He didn't answer. Jonas put a hand on my shoulder. Let him live, Eve. Let God have him. I shook my head. God left Hollow Bend a long time ago. Isaac coughed, blood on his lips. You want me to beg? I want you to understand. He smiled through pain. I already do. You think I don't see what I became? I killed the only woman I ever loved, and she lived just to kill me back. That's justice, isn't it? Justice would have been truth, I said. This is just balance. He tried to stand again, and I helped him up. His blood smeared my sleeve. The whole room watched, silent. Outside, thunder rolled somewhere far off. You always were stubborn, he said, and you always were a coward. His smile broke. Maybe. I handed him the rope. He blinked at it. You're serious. I nodded. You said, hang me if you must. So here. He looked at the rope, then at me. You won't watch? I already did, I said. Once was enough. He laughed again, soft and broken. Then we're done. I turned away. Jonas called after me. Eve, you can't just... I can, I said, and I will. I walked out of the courthouse. The air was heavy, wet. Rain started falling. slow drops on dry ground. Behind me, the doors creaked shut. I didn't look back. The next morning, the church bell rang before dawn. People shouted in the square. I went out with Jonas and Mary Ann. The crowd stood under the gallows. Isaac Crane hung there, the same rope, the same beam. Only this time no crowd cheered. No preacher spoke. Just silence. Someone whispered, "He did it himself." Someone else said, "Maybe she helped." I said nothing. The sheriff looked at me with fear in his eyes. He wanted to ask, but he didn't. The whole town did. None dared. Jonas crossed himself. He made his choice, he said. "Maybe," I answered. "Maybe I made it for him." Mary Ann took my hand. "You free now?" I stared at the hanging body. The sun came up behind it, gold and cruel. "Freedom's just another rope," I said. "We all wear one." We turned and left. We rode out that evening. The wind carried the smell of rain and iron. Mary Ann rode beside me, her hair loose, her eyes red. Jonas followed behind, quiet as prayer. "You gonna tell the world your real name?" he asked. I looked at the horizon. "Maybe one day, when it matters." He nodded. "You could start over." "Start over where?" "The past rides faster than any horse." He smiled a little. "You could still try." I didn't answer. I was tired of trying. We stopped near the river by sunset. The same river I crossed when I fled years ago. The same one that washed the noose burns on my neck. Jonas made a fire. Mary Ann hummed an old song. I sat near the water, watching the sky bleed orange and red. "You think he found peace?" she asked. "I think he found an ending," I said. "Peace is too soft a word." Jonas threw another branch into the fire. "You could forgive him, Eve, even now." I shook my head. "Forgiveness is a mercy I don't own." He sighed. "Then what do you own?" "Silence," I said. "And time." The fire cracked. The river whispered. Mary Ann reached into her coat and pulled out the locket I'd found months ago. Isaac's face inside. She handed it to me. "You should keep it." I stared at it. His eyes, frozen in silver, looked kinder than they ever were. I closed it and threw it into the river. The splash was small, but it sounded like release. Later that night, I woke to the wind. It howled through the trees like the voices of the dead. I stood and walked to the water's edge. The moonlight danced on the surface. My reflection looked like someone else, someone who had died and never told anyone. I whispered, "Evelyn Cross." The name felt strange, heavy, real. I hadn't said it aloud in years. The wind carried it away. Jonas stepped beside me. "You all right?" "I will be." He nodded. "You heading somewhere?" "Anywhere the road goes." He smiled. "You still believe in roads?" "I believe in walking." He laughed quietly. "Then I'll walk with you a while." Mary Ann called from the fire, "Don't go far." I turned to her. "We won't." But I knew we would. We broke camp at dawn. The world smelled new after rain. The horses moved slow. My hands were sore from the rope burns, old and new. Jonas said, "What will you do now?" "Live," I said. "Maybe that's the hardest revenge." He chuckled. "Maybe it's the only one." We reached the ridge above Hollow Bend. The town was small in the distance, quiet now, like a graveyard after the mourners leave. I looked down at it and whispered, "Home." Mary Ann said, "You still call it that?" "I don't know another word for where you died." She said, "Then let's find another place to live." I nodded. "Yeah, maybe we will." We rode on. The sun rose higher, burning the mist away. The road stretched wide, the kind that never ends. Behind us, the wind carried a sound, faint, soft, like rope creaking in the wind. I didn't look back. Some ghosts are better left hanging. That night, we reached the border road. A sign half buried in sand said to Mercy Creek. I laughed when I saw it. Jonas asked, "What's funny?" "Mercy," I said. "I've been chasing that word my whole life." He smiled. "Maybe now it's chasing you." Mary Ann smiled too. "Maybe you should let it catch you." I didn't answer. I touched the scar at my throat, smooth now, almost gone. I cut the rope myself, I said. No one else ever did. The wind blew across the desert, soft and endless. I pulled my hat low, kicked my horse, and rode toward the light.